everybody, Tiffany Justice here with the Augusta Business Connection Spotlight. I am one of your admins on the Augusta Business Connection page on Facebook, as well as I'm owner and broker of JT Realty here in Augusta, Georgia. Today I'm here with Dustin Nix. He's the owner of Turd Toters. Thank you for joining me today.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before we get into your business, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Dustin Nix, born and raised right here in Augusta area, graduated from Harlem, 1998. Worked at EasyGo for 24 years. Got two little boys, 8 and 5, Raylan and Avery.
So tell me about your business. Turd Toters is a very interesting name for a company that does an interesting thing.
Right.
Tell me about that.
It's probably the crappiest business venture I could have went into. Since I had my second little boy, I was trying to figure out a business venture to go into. Trying to figure out something along the lines is, what is something that people would pay for that is a convenience that nobody around here is really doing? And a lot of prayers, just trying to figure it out, was reading books, things. And then one day I'm scrolling through TikTok and this video pops up and it's talking about this guy pays this woman to come to the house to pick up dog poop. And I'm like, no way. No. Nobody's paying for that.
Right.
But I did a lot of research. So I looked into it. And then when you find out all the diseases in dog poop, things like that, it started to make sense to her. Right. So I jumped in head first pretty much. So that's where we're at.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So that moment that you said, I'm going to start my own company, what was one of the biggest things that you thought was a hurdle for you to get started?
Really just trying to find the time.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I was working at EasyGo at the time, was doing real estate. I got two little boys at the house. One of them was playing baseball. The other one was just so young, want to be around the house for my kids.
Absolutely.
So it was like, when can I do this? And then first I was like, well, weekends will work out perfect.
Right.
But then my oldest plays travel ball. So it's like, we're at tournaments on the weekend, so I'm really going to have to figure this out.
Absolutely.
But I was like, I'm not worried about it. I'll figure it out.
Right.
So actually did all the paperwork and everything. It was a pretty long process before I actually pulled the trigger and started doing jobs. But November, I think it was the week of Thanksgiving, November 2023, I went live.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you've been in for a full year, starting on your second year, and now you're to the point where this is your full-time
Right.
full job.
Yes, I got, so it was kind of unexpected, but I got let go from EasyGo January 2024. And it was one of them deals where, okay, what do I do now? I could have went back into real estate and did it full time.
Right.
But I was like, real estate market's really not in a good spot right now. So it's one of the deals, burn the boats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm either going to make it happen or, so here we are.
Maybe that was kind of a push to,
Right.
that was your sign. You're like, this is, I need to go ahead and make this happen.
Right.
And, where there's a will, there's a way, obviously.
Right.
So, when you want to make something work and you do it, or you do it.
Sure.
What is maybe something that you've done, owning your own business that maybe was like a happy mistake, or maybe something that you wish you could have done over again?
So trying to figure out the name of my company is, like I said, it's something I prayed about, and I would be driving down the road and be like, what can I name this thing? Because there were other companies around the country that I'd researched, and I was like, I don't want to be anything like them. I don't want to run into any trademark stuff,
Right.
all this kind of stuff. So I went with the name that I've got now.
Right.
And one thing that happened is I'd been doing this for probably about 8 months, and I noticed that my business stuff for this wasn't getting out to the public like my real estate stuff was, because I would get all kinds of likes. Everything would be shared, different things like that. And I was like, what's going on here? And then at the same time, if you went on Google and researched pet waste removal near me, I wouldn't populate. So I'm like, what in the world is going on? So I ended up leaving the company that I was with that was doing my website hosting and my SEO work, and I went with a different company. And after about a month, he calls me and he says, Dustin, you got to change the name of your company. And I'm like, what do you mean I got to change the name of my company? He was like, well, the reason you're not getting out is because everybody's throttling you back because the name of your company has the word turd in it. So Google and Facebook and everybody looks at turd as being a derogatory term. And it's like, oh no, it's offensive. You can't have that.
Right.
It's like, change the name of your company. No, it's not happening. I'm standing on this. So I put a lot of thought into it and everything, and I was like, this is what we're doing.
Right.
So,
Right.
I don't know what we did, but now I'm ranking. My stuff gets out, so it maybe has something to do with all the 5-star reviews I got.
So yes, very much so. I have noticed that, when we have Google reviews or Yelp reviews or whatever, after you get past a certain point, I think it's like what, 10, I think it is. I can't even remember. But you start to come up to the top when people are searching for things. Even if they were put in the word pet, then obviously that would probably bring you up at that point. So that's a happy mistake, I suppose. But I like the name because I feel like it's catchy. It's something people will remember.
Right.
It's funny. Of course, I like things that are unique and funny myself. And you know, um, like you said, being in real estate and stuff like that. There's a billion real estate agents out there. So one of the things that you have to do to set yourself apart is to show that you are different than every other real estate company out there. Whereas you right now don't have, a lot of the competition and things like that. But your name, I think, kind of just sets you apart. It kind of gives you a little bit of in my opinion, of humorous.
Well, that's what I
You
was
know, I-
aiming for.
yeah,
And you're talking about dog poop.
right,
I mean, you're not really saving any lives.
right,
You're stepping in dog poop on a daily basis.
exactly, exactly,
And most everybody has a dog poop story.
absolutely,
I'm
yeah.
out in my backyard and I had the nicest shoes on in the world, and I stepped in a pile of crap. Or
Or I was running late for work,
right,
and Fluffy had an accident,
right,
and here we go again.
that's right.
Exactly. So tell me, you mentioned that, there's a lot of diseases and things. We all know that, and when with waste comes diseases and things like that. So one of the things that also sets you apart from, the companies that are out there is you are also licensed, bonded, insured. That's very important for a business to do all those things. So tell me, when someone calls you out or whatnot, like what is one of the funniest stories maybe that you have, from doing this job? What's a funny story you got?
Okay, so funny story. I every night before the next day, I send out text messages and say, "Hey, I'll be at your house tomorrow," and give everybody a heads up just so they'll remember they're on the schedule.
Right.
And I go to this one house, and I always jiggle the gate a little bit, or I'll whistle or something just to make sure the dog's not gonna run around the corner. And I did that, and I walk into a yard and I start doing my thing, and my back's turned towards the house, it's up against the fence, and then all of a sudden it's like, and there's a dog right behind me, and I turn around, it's a full-grown boxer. Man, he looks pissed, and I'm like, "Oh my god," and all that runs through my mind is that scene in the movie Friday where he's talking about, "That dog was right on my ass," so it's just like, "Oh man, here we go," and then that dog's out there, and then another one comes around the corner, which is another grown boxer, and I'm like, "Oh, what are we gonna do now?" And then the lady runs out of the house with a broom, like, "Get back in the house." And it was wild. Well, I've had a couple dogs run out on me, and most of them are, they're cool, but, think about it from the dog's perspective. I come outside and there's somebody in my yard I'm supposed to be, and it's like, but that's probably about the wildest thing that's happened so far.
Do you just serve, the Augusta area, or do you also go into North Augusta? What
Mostly
areas?
Columbia, Richmond County.
Columbia
Oh, yeah.
County.
Going across the river is a part of my growth plan. But right now I'm just trying to focus on our side of the river.
Gotcha, gotcha. So, let me ask you this, do you have a crew? Are you, or is it
It's just me.
just you?
And a big misconception about my business is that I'm a franchise, and I'm not. I'm a small business, and it's just me. I do the marketing. I'm the one on Facebook talking. I go to all the meetings, and I'm the one scooping the poop. It's me. So,
Awesome, awesome. Do you plan on having
oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, I've got a growth plan. I've got a number that I need to hit before I start looking to put somebody in a truck, and then I've got a number where I absolutely have to put them in a truck. I've already bought the truck. Just need to get it wrapped and things like that.
That's awesome, that's awesome. So, you mentioned that, you have a lot of family life going on, obviously. So, what is one of the things that you do to balance your work and family life?
It's hard to have a balance when you own a business, right? But I always make time for my boys. It's very seldom that I miss even a practice. I try to be at all the ball games, and spend as much time with them as I can.
Right,
Oh, and there's been times where I've actually had to take them to a job with me, and they'll sit in the truck and play on their tablet or whatever.
right.
Oh, but uh, that's a hard question. But I think just about any business owner will have a little bit of trouble answering that question because, people will call me and say, "Hey, I need you to come out as soon as possible. We got a birthday party going on." Or a realtor will call me and say, "Hey, I got we're doing an open house this weekend and there's dog crap in the backyard." It's like, okay. And then I have to try to figure out where to fit them in on my day and get out there and get it done.
Absolutely, absolutely. Are there any additional services that you offer besides cleanup?
I do goose poop. I don't only do dog poop, I do goose poop. So I've got some commercial clients that they'll have geese pop up and I'm like, those dang Canadians, but those Canadian geese will come in and they'll poop all over the concrete and then I'll go in before the business day starts and get that picked up and handled for those businesses. So
Nice, nice, awesome. What kind of hobbies do you have outside of well, I mean, you probably don't have time for hobbies. Do you have any hobbies?
I used to be in the car show scene pretty big. But once my oldest boy was born, that kind of died off a little bit. And then when my second was born, it's just like I have no time whatsoever.
Right.
Because like we said, I was working at Easy Go Real Estate and now this. Right now I would say, baseball is what I do. There was a few years back I was going through some tough times and like going and watching my oldest son play baseball was like my happy place. I remember when I was, in my 20s and such, it would be like, man, there's no place like being on the lake. It didn't matter what kind of boat you was on, but if you was on the lake, it was like, oh, I love this, But now I still love the lake, but now it's like being on the ball field, watching him play, watching him improve and get better and things like that. Plus we get to go to some pretty interesting places and play ball. So, that's where I'm at right now. Do I want to get back into the car show scene? Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
I've got something I want to build. I mean, but it's just right now is not the time.
Right.
Put all my energy and effort into building this business, and that's where we're at.
Absolutely. I kind of feel like as an entrepreneur, the first few years are kind of just, I'm finding myself also, and I don't know if this is you too, but I think we talked about this the other night. I'm having a hard time with putting the trust into someone else to do some of the things that I do, but I'm only one person. And so, when you first start off, obviously you got to put in that work, you got to put in that time and kind of set the standard of how you want the business to be. You're still just kind of figuring out what it is and what works good and what doesn't work and things of that nature. So it's kind of hard. So I could see where on one hand it's great to add people and free up your time and be able to live life a little bit with your sons and things of that nature. But it's kind of hard at the same
Oh yeah,
time.
for sure.
So
And it pushes a lot of people once they get to a certain spot, they're comfortable.
yeah,
And they're like, oh, well, I can balance this and I can balance that.
right,
My problem is I don't think I'm ever going to be comfortable
right.
because my goal is continue to grow. More and more clients grow and grow and grow. And like I said, the misconception about my business is they think it's a franchise and it's really a small business. It's me. Well, that was kind of the goal because I want to build this into a franchise. So that's where I'm at right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. And eventually you'll be able to just kind of sit back and say, okay, now I have all this free time to do whatever.
He'll probably be starting another.
It probably so, probably so. I could see that too. Like I think that I couldn't just sit sedentary either. I think that's the whole thing with a lot of entrepreneurs. I think that they have that spirit, and once you get into it, it's just full steam ahead.
Right.
And yes, the goal is to eventually just be like, oh, I've built this up, and I can sit back and relax. But that's not in us
Yeah.
to just sit back and relax.
Well, that's the thing. Once you get comfortable like that, I mean, comfort kills.
Oh, it does.
Comfort kills. And then you got to have an adapt or die mindset. Like there's things evolving and you got to go to that next level. And if you don't, you're going to get left
It's just
behind.
gonna be stale. Yeah, or die. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So let me ask you this. When you put this together, was one of your thoughts is like, hey, I'm gonna build this for my sons. You think that that would be something that
Well, that's one of the things. I gotten to where I was reading a lot and I took me like a piece of paper and wrote down some of the things I wanted to do. And one of them was build a legacy. And that was part of it. I wanted to start something up. Now, did I think it was going to be picking up dog poop? No, I didn't, but here we are. I mean, that's what I'm doing and I'm putting all my effort into it.
absolutely.
We're going to build this into something.
Absolutely. And you and I were talking the other day. I said, TikTok has actually put a lot of ideas out into the world pretty fast. And I think I was telling you about the guy who went around and he told all his neighbors he would pull their trash cans up for like $2 a week and then pull them back out. He noticed everybody's trash cans were either out in the road or, someone forgot to pull their trash can down, and he's making a living off of doing that. So, I mean, that's, yes, picking up poop, but nobody thought about, oh my gosh, but it is a convenience. I mean, otherwise, what do? Run over it with a lawnmower,
And then you just spread the disease around the yard, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't realize that there is all the diseases in dog poop. And that's one of the things that I was pushing hard and heavy when I first got into it. But then you come to find out, some people just don't care about that. They just want it picked up, right? So then I had to flip the script and start talking about time saving and, just making it more convenient for people. And that's where I'm at right now. It's like, my slogan is, our days are crappy, so yours don't have to be. But then after they told me to change the name of my company, I said, well, I'm doubling down. It was like, I'm in business because you got better shit to do, and that's where we're at, and it's kind of like Frank's Red Hot. You hear Frank's Red Hot commercial because they're saying is we put that shit on everything, right? And then they bleep it out, but it makes you take a second take. Like, did I just hear what I think I heard? And it gets your attention,
But it's something that everybody remembers.
And that's the thing, trying to build a brand. I put a lot of thought into it. The white glove treatment we're cleaning up. It's got a paper bag on there. People used to light them things on fire with dog poop in them, and that was just, I put all that stuff together and,
Yes.
and here we are.
Exactly. What's something about you that people would be surprised to learn?
Like I said, I mean, most everybody that knows me knows that I was into the truck show and car show scene for a long time and had some nice stuff. I've had vehicles that were in magazines and things like that. And just somebody meeting me, they wouldn't know that.
Right.
So that would probably be it. I don't know. I mean, that would be it. Like, there's some other, you don't want me to go into all kind of stuff. So
Right. So, being a parent and having so many things going on and things like that. I mean, we're only human. At some point, burnout happens, or, how do you stay motivated?
I walk in my faith. Like, I've had to have a lot of faith in this business. Oh, when I first got into it, I was like, oh man, when I first seen it, I was so excited. And I told my mom about it. I was like,
Right.
I'm going to start this up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to be, but building a business is hard.
it is.
And a lot of people don't understand that. So I was raised by my grandparents, and they were business owners in Harlem. A lot of people know them. And I basically grew up, knowing, reaping the benefits of the work that they had put in. I never seen them grow in that business.
Right.
I seen the after effects of it.
Absolutely.
So I'm thinking I'm fixing to jump in here and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's like, no, you get smacked down quite a few times. And, you'll go home. I'll go home some days and I'll be like, man, or my phone won't ring, or I'm like, what is going on? This doesn't seem right, but I've got all the faith in the world. Like I told you, I prayed about this, and then it came to me. And there's a lot of times that I go home and I'll pray about different things, and then something will happen. I'll be like, there you go.
There you go.
And it's just, like I said, I walk through faith in a lot of this.
Right.
There's been jobs that I've done, and I'm like, if this was one of my first jobs, I'd quit. It's not happening.
What did your family say when you told them the idea?
My mom looked at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So I'd had some other business ideas in the past, and they were legit, but I would tell somebody about them and they'd be like, oh, no, that's not a good idea. And I'd be like, no, kind of talked me out of them. So with this one, I was like, not telling anybody.
Right.
Just not
Just
telling.
do it.
Right. So what I did is I told my mom about it. I told two of my best friends about it. And because one of them, I asked if he wanted to do it with me. And he's like, sorry, I'm not doing that. But, I kind of expected that way,
Yeah.
right? But my other friend, Chris, he was like, man, run with it. Because he's a business owner. And he was like, man, run with it. So that's what I did. My buddy Jason, he didn't tell me, I'm not doing that because it's a crazy idea. He was just like, that's not for me.
Right.
So
Right.
he's like, if you want to do it, do it. And that's what I did. And then after the fact, like I had all the paperwork filed, had the logo, had everything. And then that's when I told my girlfriend about it. And she looked at me like I was crazy too. And I'm like, hey, I'm doing it.
Right. Exactly. How about your grandparents? Did they give you any advice or anything?
Like my grandparents are deceased.
It's okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Like I said, they were business owners in the Harlem area. A lot of people knew them. They owned a convenience store. They also owned a trailer park. My grandma drove a school bus for 37 years, so a lot of people know my grandparents. And there are times, I remember when I would work at Easy Go, I worked nights. And when I'd get up in the mornings, my grandpa would be sitting at the kitchen table because he had people working for him, remember? And I would go in there and I'd sit down and I'd talk to him and he would give me his advice and all this other kind of stuff. But, I wonder all the time, how would he feel about what I'm doing or where I'm at in life? Because I'm not going to lie. I mean, I wasn't probably the best kid. I got in a lot of trouble, but I've grown up a lot. My two boys changed my life. And I would hope that they would be proud of me.
Absolutely. I feel like they would.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's not about what you do, it's how you're doing it and I mean, within reason, obviously. If it's illegal, obviously, that wouldn't be good, right?
Right.
But, I mean, at the end of the day, you are running a successful business, it's taken off very well. Did you expect it to take off as well as it has so far?
Well, no, I expected it to take off a lot faster.
Okay.
And, that was part of the problem because I was like, I was just like, oh man, this is going to take off.
Yeah.
And I hit the ground running and then, I had my first client and I was like, all right, cool. And then go a whole month, phone don't ring. And it's like, but I didn't open up the best time of year. Like I said, my first client was in November, the week before Thanksgiving, 2023. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to take off. People see my truck and I'll see them taking pictures and people point. I mean, and it's funny, but they're laughing at it too.
Right,
But,
right.
it gets their attention.
Right.
I like that.
It does. That's what I like about it too. Like I said, I like unique and I like how, it's a funny. I'm a humorous type person, so I like, something that's off kilter, I guess. And then I'm not saying that your business is off kilter, but it's different. It's definitely different.
But
I mean,
I had a couple friends tell me like, you think that your business isn't growing because of the name of your company.
mhm.
And some people probably look at it like, oh my God, but I mean, okay. But I mean, I'm picking up dog poop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I wanted it to be funny. I wanted it to be memorable. And like I said, I put a lot of thought into what I did and here we are. And it's growing and it's doing fairly well.
Mhm.
Like I said, I've already bought another vehicle to put on the road and that's the way we're going.
Right. Absolutely. So I know that you like to do videos and things like that. What is some other ways that you advertise your business?
I don't like doing videos.
Well, I know you don't like to do them, but you do them sometimes, right? I mean,
Well, this is one thing I will talk about. I don't like doing videos because I don't like getting in front of the camera. Now, just as far as reels and stuff I don't do that. Not saying that I'm not going to start. But I do make a lot of posts. I posted a picture of one of my finest dogs yesterday. Different things like that. But sometimes I get in trouble for my posts, right? So about 2 months ago, I posted a 5-gallon bucket slap full of dog poop, and I put it on the Columbia County website or their Columbia County Connect.
right.
And I'm just like anybody else. I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I'll see stuff on there and different things. I just keep on scrolling, right?
Mhm.
Well, that bucket got a lot of attention. And it was like I had all these likes, I had people laughing, but I also had people saying, I don't get on Facebook to see shit, you know. And I mean, I get it, but it's dog poop.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have thought
Yeah.
that I had posted a picture of somebody actually taking a dump. And but it that's what it was meant to do. It got attention. And that's the whole purpose of marketing is to get attention. I think it's the 48 laws of power. I think number 4 is attention by any means necessary.
Right.
And that's what I did.
Right.
And they took it down.
Oh no.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, but because there was people on there probably flagged it and this and that. And it's just like, it's dog poop.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're probably going to walk outside and step in it.
But then we have a poop emoji.
Right.
I mean, go figure, right? Like,
Right.
if you would have put the poop emoji
That
up there.
chocolate ice.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. People can pass it off as that.
It's wild.
It is. It is very crazy. So, one of the things that you and I are well, we talked a lot the other night when he came to our business connection meeting, networking meeting. We talked about networking.
Right.
That is probably one of your things right now is getting your word out there, networking to people. We've talked about that before. Like, sometimes you post something, it's not getting likes, it's not getting the attention, but then in essence, you are still getting attention. It's just people aren't liking it. And I say this, I didn't get to say this at the last meeting, but I end every meeting with saying, you know, You may not get likes, you might not get shares, you might not get these things, but keep on networking, keep on doing these things because even though someone doesn't need your service right now,
Right.
again, later on, like you said, I might have an open house coming up and I've noticed there is a lot of excrement in the yard and I'm like, "Hey, I cannot show this house like this." So, networking has been one of your things that you've been doing. Facebooking is the biggest free advertisement. Have you gotten into anything else?
No, thought I have started up a Twitter account, X, just haven't started posting on there yet. Next door just doesn't seem like it's for me. Uh, we do have an Instagram, and then I have a LinkedIn account.
Okay.
But other than that, no.
One of the things you do need to start doing. I just got out of a class, it was a marketing class, and the instructor said, "People don't do videos because they don't like the way they look or the way that they sound." Right. That's not what matters. That's not what matters. They see you, they keep seeing you do these things, and it's staying on the forefront of their mind. So, with that being said, what's one piece of advice you would give someone who was wanting to start their own business?
Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Also network as much as you can. Talk to as many business owners as you can. I've met a lot of great people. Just in this past year. Like I said, I was born and raised here. I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I've been able to meet business owners that I'll go have lunch with we might have an hour lunch and they'll say one thing that just pops in my head.
Right.
Like, Patrick Wells owns Piedmont, right? I went to lunch with him one day and he told me about the University of Georgia Small Business Administration. And I was like, let me go check that out. Like, yeah, just meeting some of the business owners that I've met, Dean with Veterans and Alex with Final Trace. I mean, I could go on and on with names for people. I will say this though, and Chase Lord, if you watch him, this is for you. So anytime somebody asks me, how many clients I have, I'll tell them not enough. And the reason I do that is because first time I ever met Chase was at an event and he walks up and he says, well, how many clients do you got? And I told him, I just gotten started. So I told him and he looks at me and said, oof. And that's all he did. Right. So like a couple months later, I see him again and I'm growing my business and I see him and he's like, how many clients you got? I told him, he said, ooh. So every time I think I'm doing good,
Right.
I see him doing that. So it's like, I'm just going to keep going.
Right.
We're getting after it,
Exactly.
but
Exactly.
yeah, I've met a lot of great people, a lot of great people. And it's been my pleasure to sit down and talk to them and get to know them like at the networking event that you do. And, we have a breakfast that we do once a week and, you know, Chamber of Commerce, all these different things. Just getting to meet these people it's been great.
Absolutely. So tell me, being a business owner, what's the most rewarding thing for you?
I would have to say the Google reviews,
Oh.
because you go in, you do it, you got a client on board, you go do the initial cleaning, and then you go once a week, and I'll text them, let them know I'm coming, I'll let them know when I'm finished, I do all the stuff, and then you really don't know, like I don't want to say, hey, how's it going,
Right.
and a Google review will pop up, and it just lays it out for you, and it makes you feel some kind of way.
Absolutely.
So, I've lost 5 clients since I've started. Not and then none of them have been because of something on my part, right? So, one, God bless his soul, he passed away. Another one, the lady's, fur baby passed away.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then one I had to fire because you do have to fire clients sometimes.
Sometimes you do, yeah.
But then I've had 2 recently, and I was like, "Oh, man, what's going on with this?" And then as soon as they leave me a 5-star review. So it's like, it wasn't because of me, so it all works out. So
You're going to have some attrition with any business, and sometimes you might not always know that answer. One of the things I love getting my reviews too. It makes you feel like all the nice and warm and fuzzy and like, yay. I've had some clients too that I didn't really know um, I didn't really know how to judge how they felt about me.
Right.
It was never any complaints or anything like that, but then they were just, I guess, maybe a little bit shyer or, whatever. And then, yeah, a review pops up and, Raven review, eloquent with their words. And I'm like, oh, yay, I'm glad I did that. So, I mean, I guess that could also be all clumped in with the motivation to keep on going too, you know? I mean, again, you are doing a service that people don't know that they need until someone says,
Right.
you need this. I guess the biggest takeaway from this is that, time is money and you're giving people their time back
Right.
while earning money, obviously, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And it's a very, very valuable thing. So your business is trying to give and put back the time that people obviously don't have,
Right.
so
So I kind of had this conversation with a guy at the ball field the other day. He was talking to me about my business. It's one of the grandparents on the team. He was asking me how things were going and all. And I told him, I said, the way people look at my business is kind of like, imagine if you've seen a car wash for the first time. Somebody's paying for a car. Or think about the first landscaping service. You're paying somebody to cut your grass. Well, why can't you cut your grass? So, I mean, I've had a car pull up beside me before and say, people actually pay for that? Well, I mean, it's a newer service. I mean, I'm not the first one in this area to do it, and I'm not the last because I have competitors popping up.
correct.
But I mean, it saves you time
Absolutely.
and it's affordable.
Yeah,
It's a reasonable price, right?
absolutely.
Um, so yeah, saving people. Like I said, at first I was pushing the diseases and just getting that out there that people would know. And then it was like, I just need to hit on the convenience factor.
Absolutely.
Because that's what it is. It's convenient. Because I can wash my own truck.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I got baseball practice to go to.
Correct.
I've got stuff I've got to do around the house. I don't have time to go out there and pick up dog poop.
Absolutely.
Raylan's got to be at batting practice in 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
It gets dark in an hour. Well,
Absolutely. And the same goes to, again, time is money. So for you to pay someone to do some of the things to take your time and be able to spend with your children and things like that is very valuable to you.
Right.
And, helping a small business in the same sense, you're putting food on someone locally's table. You're paying for the equipment for your children to play baseball, or they're paying for that for you, and things like that. So I think one of the biggest things that having a small business and being an entrepreneur, in supporting small business. So the whole reason that we even started the Augusta Business Connection, or even started doing like the networking meetings that we've done or anything like that, is because we started that right before COVID. Then COVID hit, and we all know what happened. All the businesses shut down, um, but in the midst of all that, a lot of these small businesses found a way.
Right.
I have a friend right now, her business started from COVID.
Right.
She would have never thought that that's what she'd be doing. And now, like her things are in several different stores all over the CSRA.
Right.
And it's all because, someone said, okay, I'm going to be this small business. I'm not this large corporation. I don't have a ton of money, but I'm going to sit here and I want to see if I can make this work.
Right.
So in essence, when, it might seem like a small thing, like, oh, I can go out and wash my car, or I can go and pick up the dog poop. But at the end of the day, it's on a much larger scale. It's their time is now freed up.
Right.
And they're also supporting someone else in the community.
Right.
Who has a family who's trying to make it work as well. So,
And then we do things like, we sponsor baseball teams. We sponsor team Martinez Evansville League. We did that last year. We're doing it again this year. Local travel ball team. And no, it's not a team that my son is on. So just trying to do things like that around the community, So, and we also sponsored a dirt track race car last year. And he's based out of South Carolina, sir. But his dad, God bless his soul, he's the one that passed away. But he called me. He was like, man, I love your sense of humor. He's like, I like the way you market your stuff. He's like,
right.
Let's do this race car thing. Yeah, So that's what we did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me, what's one thing that sets you apart from your competition?
One thing that sets me apart. Well, I can say this. I don't really know enough about my competition to give you an answer that most people would probably like to hear from me. But what I can give you is you get me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I was a part of car show scene. I used to do show cars and things. So I try to be attention to detail as much as possible. When I come into your yard, I treat it like it's my own. If I see something that doesn't look right, I'm gonna tell you about it. And if I see something that doesn't look right in your dog's poop, I'm gonna tell you.
Right, right.
I mean, I've had to take pictures of poop that had a full sock hanging from it.
Oh my.
So just different things like that. I mean, if you got ant beds in your yard, I'm gonna let you know about it. If your fence looks like it's sagging somewhere, I'm gonna tell you about it, because these are things that you may not see, especially this time of year. It's been cold.
Absolutely.
And now you're fixing to start going out and enjoying things. And if I see something doesn't look right, I'll take a picture of it. I'll send it to you.
Absolutely.
Another thing that you said is, you talked about the other business with a TikTok where they charge $2 to do your trash can, right? If I come to your house and the trash is already ran and the trash is still in the bin is still by the road, I'm walking that way anyway. I'm taking it with me.
Yeah. That's kind.
It's things like that. That's what you get with me. But like I said, I don't know enough about them. I
Yeah.
wish them all the best.
Yeah.
But that's what you get. You get me.
Absolutely. It's a preventative maintenance too. I mean, what if someone didn't know their dog had eaten something, or
Right.
a bend in the fence could mean that their dog gets, runs away or
That's right.
gets hurt.
Yeah. At the house the other day, she's like, make sure the gate's closed good. And I said, okay. And then I go into the backyard and the back gate is wide open to the back side of the house.
Oh my goodness.
So just different things. And maybe that's my real estate side coming out a little bit, you pay for people to come do inspections and stuff like that. Well, if I'm in your yard and I see something doesn't look right, then I'm going to tell you about it.
There you go.
It's just like if you go and you have a listing appointment, and they ask you, well, what can we do to this house?
Right.
And you walk in the backyard and you see this, this, and this, you're going to tell them about it.
Absolutely.
So that's what I bring to the table.
Absolutely. I like that. I like that answer. Yeah. All right, y'all. So if you need someone to come out and help you clean up your pet's waste, call Turd Toters. He is licensed, bonded, and insured, and he's ready to help you out and to give you that special detail. You give Dustin a call. Dustin, what's your telephone number?
706-833-6481.
Now everybody's going to start calling you.
That's fine.
Thank you all again for joining me on another episode of Augusta Business Connection Spotlight.
I'm Dustin Nix with Turd Toters Pet Waste Management. Our days are crappy, so yours don't have to be.